Oh, we're live. What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, world? I am the Hungarian Experiment, and welcome to another Hangout with the Hungarian. So, if you guys are watching this later, or maybe you're going to pop into the live stream here, this is a show where I actually invite you guys live into the live stream. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a link in, and if you guys want to join, you guys want to hang out for a bit, let's hang out, let's chat. You can feel free to jump in the live stream, hang out with me, say what's up to everyone else who's going to be in here. So I'm going to actually throw that invite link in to the chat right now. And if anyone's joining here, I'd love you guys let me know if the sound's all good, if you guys can hear me all good, you can see me well, and then we'll start kicking things off. But while I wait for someone to hopefully leave a comment here, if you guys can tell from the title, rapid fat loss with the carnivore diet. If you guys saw the thumbnail there, if you guys are following me along on Instagram right now, wow. I'm currently on day 15 of the carnivore experiment here. So I'm now past that 2 week mark. And if you guys have been seeing, I put out day 1 and day 2. And over the next week here, I have a lot of documentation of these different days and the highs and lows that seem to come, at least that I found, with the first week to a week and a half. Now, after day 8, everything has really leveled out. So we're going to dive into the rapid fat loss that I've been experiencing, some of my energy levels, my mood, all that kind of stuff. We have a bunch of stuff to talk about on that. And we got a few other things here I want to talk about with you guys. I'm getting a little more legit here. I have some talking points that I like to discuss with you guys. So what's up? We'll pop into the chat here and say what's up to everyone who's joining and leaving comments. So guys, I want to know where you are from in the world. So let me know in the comment section. And again, I'm going to throw a link into the chat. And if you guys want to join, I might just finish whatever topic I'm discussing, but I'll invite you live here so you can actually be in here and live stream with us. So we got James Hill in the chat, says, "Hey Hungarian, what's up?" He says, "The sound is perfect, can see you fine." And oh shit, I didn't realize you was 2 weeks in. Yeah, so YouTube takes some time to actually edit all this content, to get all this content up for you guys. So if you guys want to stay up to date with me, be like right up there with me, you got to come on Instagram because I'm sharing stories about my life. I'm sharing posts, giving you guys updates. So what we're actually going to cover today is some of those Instagram posts and a lot of stuff that I've been reading in the Carnivore Code. So this is a fascinating book. If you guys are questioning the carnivore diet, and even if you're not questioning the carnivore diet, if you still plan on eating a balanced diet and including meat, or you're a vegetarian and vegan, I really suggest reading this book. There's some fascinating concepts in this book. We're going to touch on a few of those. We got Fernanda Payo in the chat, says, "Hey, Peter, nice to see you. I'm from Brazil." What's going on from Brazil, Fernanda? Thank you so much for popping in here. We got a few other people, so feel free to let me know where you guys are at. And again, I'm going to throw this invite link. And if you guys want to hang out, feel free to join live. But again, we got a lot of things to cover today. So let's pop into it. Now, before we dive into anything, we'll let some more people filter in here before we actually get into the rapid fat loss that I've been experiencing with the carnivore diet. But I got to give a big shout out and an RIP to Stefan Aarnio. We lost a great man a couple weeks back now. I think it's been a couple weeks now. And this man was heavily affecting many people's lives in a great, great way. If you guys don't know, Stefan Aarnio is an author as well. He is a real estate investor who was also a coach, and he, was Matt McKeever's mentor and friend and like rival in some ways as well too. And Matt's my mentor, and we actually went out to Winnipeg to go visit Stefan Aarnio and shoot a bunch of content with him. And we got to sit down and have dinner with him after the day of shooting, and we talked a lot about a lot of interesting concepts like ego death. He's done like some crazy long fasts. I don't know if it's legitimate, but he's claimed that he's done like a 40-day fast out in the jungle. And recently we just lost him to cancer. So it's extremely unfortunate. He definitely had a lot more to do in this world, and it's very unfortunate. But if you guys are interested in learning more about Stefan Aarnio, he actually wrote this book called Hard Times Create Strong Men. I think this is a very pertinent concept for right now in the world. I heard this saying many years back when I was really young, that hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. And it's a big cycle. And that's why civilizations rise and fall, and why empires fall. And he breaks down in this book why we're currently in hard times right now. It's a fascinating book. He's got a lot of interesting like drawings and stuff in it. I've definitely I looked up to him in many ways. He had a very interesting journey in this world. Again, he had many people who was he affected many people's lives in his short, like 30 to 32, 33 years of age. And it's very unfortunate that we lost this great man. I want to say RIP. But yeah, it's very sad. It's very unfortunate. We went through some rough times here at the house just because he was like our Roger Bannister in many ways, where, someone has set a goal and you're trying to beat that goal. If you see like the 4-minute mile, if you guys don't know, Roger Bannister was I believe the first person to break the 4-minute mile. And then once people were like, oh shit, you can run faster than a mile in 4 minutes, or, you can do that in 4 minutes. Like, people in high school now can beat it, but you always need someone first to set that goal, to set that pillar, that goalpost, to see that it's even possible to do. And Stefan Aarnio set that goalpost in a lot of different ways. And he's written many books, and I want to write a lot. I have a lot of plans and a lot of ideas and a lot of concepts that I want to bring into the world and bring into fruition. And after reading his books and seeing his journey, I realized like I need to do more than just videos and YouTube. Like, it's very hard to explain a lot of these concepts that I want to do and bring into the world. So RIP Stefan Aarnio. That's very unfortunate. Guys, go pick up his books if you guys are interested in learning more. But he was a great man. And it's very unfortunate that we lost him. We just put out a video the other day with Matt discussing the concept that, we titled the video The Conversation I Never Had with Stefan Aarnio, because we here in this world, when we're alive, we think, oh, we have all the time in the world to do things, to complete things, to accomplish things, but we never know when that time's going to be taken away from us. And that's why I think it's very important to live openly and honestly and passionately and give all you can to the time that you have in this world. Now, there's many times where I'm not always doing that, but I'm always thinking that. I'm always trying to represent that. I'm always trying to be, not taking advantage of my time, but living passionately and doing the most with my time here on this world. So that was very unfortunate. If you guys want to see, go check out Matt McKeever's recent video where we had Matt discussing that, and also his cousin who passed away over the last year. So Matt has lost a couple big mentors for him, and that's almost kind of leveled us up in a way as well too, because we're like, damn, life is short. Like, we really got to give it our all and our everything if we want to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish in this world. We don't have all the time in the world. So it's crazy. But thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate you guys here with the Hangout with the Hungarian. Again, I'd love to know where you guys are at in the world. Leave a comment in the chat. If I don't see too much comments or questions, we're just going to keep rolling here. I'm just going to keep going with some of my topics of discussion. But as I mentioned earlier on in the stream, and if you guys are see the title and the thumbnail, I'm having some rapid fat loss with the carnivore diet. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of that. Today is day 15. And honestly, ever since day 1 to 7 was very weird. Like, one day, if you guys saw day 1, I was like turbocharged with energy. Day 2, I was really like tired and hungry. And then you guys will see day 3 and day 4 coming out this weekend. And then I started going like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are going to be in one video. And you will see the highs and lows that kind of come with the first day and my poop schedule and all that kind of stuff. So that way you guys can have those questions answered for you if you guys are questioning doing the carnivore diet for yourself. But it's been fascinating. And ever since day 8 to day 11, I feel like things have really leveled out. And since like day 12, I've been feeling amazing. I wake up full of energy. Like, if you guys have been following me on Instagram or you're seeing some of my videos, I wake up every day and I do 1,000 skips in the morning. And then we do a 7 a.m. workout with the click, which is either yoga or like body weight workout. And then like throughout the day, I'm just feeling great. I'm feeling amazing. I feel like I'm on another level right now. And it's interesting. Like, I feel like I said on the vlog the other day, and again, I feel like I'm still adapting to this. I'm still getting used to this diet, and my body's still like trying to understand what I'm doing with it. But I am at that day 15 mark now. And as I mentioned, since day 12, each day I wake up full of energy. I don't have coffee. I haven't had carbs or coffee in 15 days now. And I feel great. I feel awesome. And I'm not here to try to sway anyone or lie or boast and build things up. I feel fucking great every single day now. And again, I'm still interested to see what's going to happen. We still have another 85 days to go with this 100-day carnivore experiment. But God damn, I feel fucking amazing. Now, along with that too, if you guys saw from the title there, I'm having some rapid fat loss. So I want to share this here with you guys right now, real quick. We'll say 1106 link says, talking about time, do you keep track of it often? Keep track of like when I eat my foods, like with intermittent fasting? What do you mean by that exactly? Camo PR 2.0 says, hello, what is going on? Really appreciate you being in the live stream here. And Taylor Marshall says, hey, did you feel really sick when you first went carnivore? I'm plant-based, really struggling with gut issues though. Going to start eating animal products again. So what I would suggest is like, don't drastically change it, and also do your research first. Like, honestly, this book, I think, will change a lot of your concepts about plants. I'm coming out with a video tomorrow on how plants have natural chemical defense mechanisms built into it. 99.99% of the pesticides that we consume from plants are, like, again, this is all trippy. You guys can't see because I highlighted it here. But 99.99% of the pesticides we consume are naturally produced by plants. Because we have to think that animals develop these abilities to run away or have claws to defend themselves or teeth and fight back. Whereas plants don't. And for millions of years, they've been on this planet. Hundreds of thousands of years, they've had to defend themselves from insects and plants and animals. And they needed to develop defense mechanisms. So one of that is chemically that they produce, and things like oxalates, phytoalexins, all these different things that these plants produce long term negatively affect us as human beings. And again, what Paul Saladino believes is the animal-based diet, meat is our primary source of food, and plant food, when we were developing as our ancient ancestors, was more or less survival food. We only ate that when we couldn't get animal sources. Now, with agriculture and all that kind of stuff, we started taking advantage of plants and growing it to feed and grow civilizations. But we actually started to regress as human beings. Our brain sizes got a little bit smaller. Our height got a little bit smaller because we had a lot of deficiencies because we weren't getting as wide a range of nutrients and minerals and all that kind of stuff due to agriculture. So I'm not honestly surprised that you're having gut issues. I hear a lot of long-term vegetarians and vegans turning back to adding animal sources back into their diet. And actually, the next book I'm going to read is about a 20-year-long vegan who has now gone back to eating animal sources. So I'm very fascinated I think her name's Leary Keith. I might be messing that up right now, but I can't wait to dive into that book and see what she says about her long-term vegan diet and why she decided to turn back. But most people I find who go carnivore, they might slip off to enjoy themselves or, enjoy their lifestyle, or if they're with families or friends or they're at a party or something, they'll eat differently. But what I would suggest for you, Taylor, is that not to dive into carnivore diet. So what I'm doing is I'm doing 100 days of carnivore. Then I'm going to do 3 weeks of just going back to a normal kind of lifestyle and routine just to kind of see what it's like coming off the carnivore diet, mix some plants back into my diet slowly. And then I'm going to go vegan for about 100 days. At least that's the plan. I don't know, with how much negative stuff I'm hearing about long-term vegan use and vegetarians, I'm heavily questioning it. Although I do know many vegans who have been doing it long term, and they seem to be doing fine. I honestly don't think 100 days is going to negatively affect me that bad. But how much I'm reading from this book, it's almost like, damn, do I want to lose the amazing results that I'm going to get from this carnivore diet? That's something I'm heavily considering, but I have made a commitment to the channel here, made a commitment to you guys, made a commitment to myself that I'm going to do this year. So I'm going to to do it and try it. But I really suggest slowly going into it. And if you are planning on going carnivore, I definitely suggest reading this book as well as The Carnivore Diet by Dr. Sean Baker. I have about 100 pages left, but holy crap, we're actually going to dive into some of the stuff from here in a sec. But let's actually get to the fat loss. We'll just finish off some of Taylor's comments here. Said, I was diagnosed with GERD. Yeah, I plan on reading that one. And what I suggest is read this book before you dive into the diet. I've had a lot of people reaching out to me saying, oh, I'm going to start Carnivore Diet and I'm going to read the book after. And it's like, no, inform yourself first, please. Please do this. If you're going to do it for me, like just do it for me at least. Like inform yourself first before you start experimenting with something new. So Taylor says, interesting concept that makes sense. I felt really good when I first went vegan. With time, though, have had issues, just not sustainable. And you know what Sean Baker says, as well as Paul Saladino here, is that many vegans and vegetarians feel really good when they go on the diet initially because they're removing a lot of bad food from their diet, a lot of processed food, a lot of fast food. Now, if you guys have been following my journey for the last 5 years, I've been eating quite healthy. Now I do have cheat days and refeed days and stuff like that. Like I actually had a McDonald's day before this week, like the week before I had Carnivore Diet. But every day before that, I was eating mostly whole healthy foods. Healthy. But in general, that's why a lot of people feel good is because they're removing a lot of stuff. They're eliminating things from their diet. It's not what they're introducing into their diet. So, and that's a big thing with the carnivore diet as well, too. You're eliminating so much bullshit that you can't help but feel good because you're only getting really good stuff in there. Fernanda Pio asks, will you read some vegan-friendly books, too? Yeah, I plan on it, definitely. I got 100 days to absorb as much carnivore content as I can, and the weeks leading up to the vegan diet, I'm going to start diving into vegan books as well, too, just to see if there's any conflicting perspectives or to see what kind of science they're using. Because as Paul Saladino cites in this book, and he's breaking down a lot of these concepts that vegans and vegetarians and the scientific studies they use, but they use a lot of epidemiological studies. They use a lot of big observational studies, and he's actually broken down in these how a lot of those are very weak in nature. So I'm interested to read and hear what they say, but I feel like, and if you guys have been watching me recently, it's probably some weak science. But yeah, if you guys have any vegan books that you guys suggest for me to read, I'd love you to go throw them in the comments section right now. We'll come back to the comments here, but I do want to discuss and share with you guys the rapid fat loss that I've been going through. So again, if you guys aren't following me on Instagram, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at the Hungarian Experiment. Again, this is where I share my life day to day, so you guys can stay up to date with everything that's going on. Yesterday, I was sitting outside, soaking up some of that free vitamin D while reading some more of the book, shared some comments, and share with you guys my skipping that I'm doing every day, our 7 a.m. morning workouts. So you guys, I'm just documenting and here to show you, like, I'm actually doing this shit. And right now I'm actually making a bone broth. So one of the things that, the only really real thing that Dr. Paul Saladino mentions, the only lacking nutrient that you won't really get if you're not eating nose to tail, so if you're not eating a lot of organ meat, is calcium. So that's what you'll get from like dairy, and you'll get from certain plant sources. I have to check that if you actually get them from plant sources or not. But calcium is the only real thing that you might be lacking, and you can actually get that from bone marrow. So right now I'm cooking up a bone broth, my first ever bone broth. Actually at 6 o'clock today when we started the live stream, it's been going for 24 hours. They suggest going from anywhere for 24 to 72 hours. So probably tomorrow around this time, I'll strain it out. I'll put it all into some mason jars or some storage containers. And yeah, I'm going to have my first homemade bone broth ever. And I'm actually doing a lot of new things. I'm learning about all the different styles and cuts of meat. And I've actually done my first few reverse sears ever. So that's where instead of searing the outside and then cooking it slowly, you actually cook it slowly and then sear the outside. So it's been interesting. I'm definitely experimenting and learning a lot, and you guys will see that in the upcoming videos. But as I mentioned, we're going to talk about fat loss right now. So if you guys see here, I share this on my Instagram. This is why you guys need to be following me on Instagram, and I share this in an upcoming YouTube video that'll be coming out in the next week or so. But on the left here, you see day 11, and on the right here, you see day 6. So there's only 5 days between these photos. And if you guys see down here, like, holy crap, woo, I zoomed in way too close. But look at this difference here. I've lost a lot of fat from my love handles and from my little gut there, I guess you could call it. Like, and I'm on day 15 now. So I'm going to do photos around day 20 as well too. But like, guys, I'm having some rapid fat loss and I'm not restricting myself in any kind of a way. I'm enjoying myself. I'm eating till I'm content and nice and full. So again, I feel great right now on day 15, and I feel I'm even leaner than this right now. I don't know why I can't zoom out here. Zoom out, zoom out. Okay, so here's another photo just so you guys can see. Again, day 11 on the left, day 6 on the right here. And look at the fat loss difference in just 5 days. And I believe that's a lot of due to carbohydrate restriction. My body only has fat to use as fuel. When you're eating carbs with vegetables or, cereals or, whatever you want, you're eating spaghetti, like pasta, you're eating potatoes, your body utilizes that fuel source first. It loves carbs. It wants to use carbs as its primary source of fuel, but it also loves burning fat for fuel. And that's what happens. And your brain runs on carbohydrates, but your brain can also run on fat. And it doesn't naturally run on fat. It has to be converted by the liver in the form of ketones. So that's where you hear about ketogenic diet or ketosis. So my body has been in a state of ketosis for the last at least 14 days, probably 15 days as well too, because I did a 39-hour fast before I started this. So the only fuel source my body has to run on right now is fat for fuel. Now, if I lose all my fat, and I'm not intaking enough fat, that is when your body will start going into this kind of like starvation mode and start using your muscles and other sources for fuel. But as long as you have enough fat on your body will use fat for fuel. And as you can see here, I still have fat on my body day 11 and day 15 I will. Today I'm actually having a refeed day. So I'm not even feeling all that hungry, but I'm trying to have a day where I'm going high in caloric surplus just to see what it's like. It's been 2 weeks now that I've definitely been like shredding a lot of fat. So I wanted to see what today was going to be like when I had a nice surplus day. But as you guys can see there, like the flex is a little different because like on this day I did deadlifts and this day I did more of a shoulder and tricep workout. So my muscles are a little more engaged up here than like somewhere else. But you can see the fat. Like look at the fat there and look at here. Now, I definitely, as I mentioned, still have fat on my side, so I still have fat to lose. But this is just 5 days of results, guys. This is crazy. I didn't think the fat loss would be this fast. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen on day 20, day 30, day 45. I'm going to keep doing update photos here for you guys. But that's some of the crazy fat loss that I've been going through. It's wild. So, I really suggest doing your research before popping into the carnivore diet, but I think this is a great way to get some quick fat loss and to not restrict yourself, to eat nice and full and content. Each day I'm eating till I'm content. I'm not stuffing myself, but I'm also not hungry after. And even the next day when I go to break my fast, like I'm not starving. I'm not really, really hungry. Whereas when I'm eating more of a balanced diet where I have carbohydrates, like I'm eating potatoes and stuff, like I'm usually hungry by that point. I'm like, oh, I could eat now. Whereas now, like I break my fast and I'm like, man, I'm not even all that hungry, but like I wolf down a whole steak and I'm like, wow, like this is crazy. So we'll pop back into the chat here, just see what's kind of going on. So we had Sarbot. I'm not sure exactly how to say that. Thank you so much for being in here. Says namaste from India. Lots of love. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for being here in the chat. We have someone from India. That's awesome. Again, let me know where you guys are from around the world. I love hearing where you guys are from. This is amazing. 1106 Link says, do you feel more in line towards your goals by keeping track of time? As in, if you keep a tight schedule, do you feel as though it helps you more as opposed to just knowing what you have to do? So this is actually an interesting concept. Thank you for asking it. Right now, if you guys don't know, I live in this house with Matt McKeever. He's my mentor as well as like I'm his employee and we're good friends as well too. Like we were just doing passion projects before all this and he has a crazy schedule. Now he doesn't need to. he's retired. He retired like 3 or 4 years ago. He doesn't need to have a crazy schedule. But every like 15 minutes, his schedule, like I have his schedule synced up with my phone. And like I'm seeing his schedule every 15 to 20 minutes. And maybe at one point in my life, I will get to that point where I want to be nice and super scheduled and super routine. But as of right now, and even the last 5 years or so of my life, I've really just been enjoying going with the flow of things. I like the journey to unfold as it unfolds. I could definitely tighten up many areas of my life and use my time more efficiently and more effectively. And there's definitely times where I might be wasting my time here and there. But for the most part, I really enjoy not having a very rigid, tight schedule. I set out a to-do list for the day. So like, here's my to-do list today. That's a big ass to-do list. So to do today, I had 10:30 media team meeting, cook salmon and shrimp, 1.5 hours on my book, 6 p.m. Hangout the Hungarian, 8 p.m. we have impact theory here with the click. Then I have like all the videos I have to edit, all the videos I want to script up, all the work I have to do. And now I don't think I'll get through all of this today. I never really get through my whole to-do list, and it doesn't really discourage me, but that's what I do. As I have a bunch of these clipboards with all the different things. You can't see up here, but it says Daily Me. I have a clipboard that says Matt McKeever. I have a clipboard that says Hungarian Experiment. And I just have different pages with all the things I need to do, with video ideas, with video topics. And I'm just keeping notes throughout the whole day because I like to be still in this state of like, where if an idea comes to me, I want to do it. I don't want to be like, shit, I have this thing scheduled. I have to do it. Now, that's how you level up in life, I believe. And seeing Matt over the last year really tighten up his schedule and seeing him level up, I think it's very important. And I think over the next year, I definitely need to get to that point. If I want to do the things I want to do and become the person I want to become in this world, I definitely need to do that. As of right now, I still want to be open to the journey, be open to the flow, not have this restriction, not have to set time to be creative, just to let the creativity come. But again, I realize that that is also wasting some time. So I'm in the middle there of what you're saying with like, do I feel in line towards my goals? I'm at this point right now where I'm really trying to figure out like, what should I do? Should I be going full schedule like Matt, or do I keep my schedule still open and kind of go with the flow of things? So that's just what's going on in my head. Taylor Marshall says there's a book called Fiber Fueled. It's interesting on gut health. It's a new one, a vegan book. Interesting. I'll have to check it out. Another concept here that from the Carnivore Code, he says you don't even need fiber. Vitamin C, you get vitamin C from meat. You can get all your vitamins and nutrients from a carnivore diet. And that's why I'm very interested. So if you guys have any vegan books or vegetarian books that I need to check out, let me know. Because again, I'm going to be doing 100 days of vegan as well too after the carnivore diet experiment here. And I really want to know and understand and see what kind of information they're sharing and what kind of scientific studies they're using. Because again, I think a lot of science is weak science. Even in this book, he admits when a study is weak in nature and when one is like contradicting another. And that's actually what we're going to dive into right now. So this is a piece from the Carnivore Code. Sorry, just give me one sec here. So he has several chapters on myths. Sorry, guys. Myth number 3 is red meat will shorten your life. And as you can see here, I said, think you can trust the World Health Organization? Look at this bullshit study on red meat done in 2015. So we'll actually go through this together here and read this out. But in the last chapter, we thoroughly examined plant fiber and discovered that it's definitely not all it's cracked up to be. Wow. It's like I just lost my voice. We also found that the protein and collagen in meat can act like animal fiber in our large intestine and provide short-chain fatty acids for the epithelial cell there. But for many, the concept of eating a diet rich in animal food conjures up thoughts of colon cancer and shortened lifespans. As we continue on our myth-busting adventure, let's address these faulty notions. Onward, there's further truth to be found and flawed reasoning to be swiftly dispatched. Most of the misconceptions that red meat causes cancer comes from a report by the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer that was released in 2015. Now, guys, if you're not paying attention to what's going on with COVID and everything in the world right now, the World Health Organization is instructing governments on how they should be acting during this pandemic. And I think a lot of people are to the point now where they're realizing it's overblown. Like 0.01 people who actually get this thing are actually going to have serious issues from it. Go check out Tony Robbins. If you guys don't know who Tony Robbins is, he's a very influential man. He's actually very connected with a lot of doctors, and he came out with a podcast interviewing a lot of these doctors who are saying this is overblown. This is far outreached. Now, if you guys don't agree with me on that, you got a lot of fear mongering, you watch a lot of mainstream media, I understand, but you guys need to inform yourselves. You can't be trusting everything the media is saying, and especially the World Health Organization. And this is what we're going to show here from a study in 2015 that they did. So blah, blah, blah. Sounds like a really fancy title, doesn't it? Surely something coming out of an organization like that would be reliable and reputable, right? Sadly, this report has been widely misinterpreted by mainstream media and is based on some very questionable interpretations of the science it claims to review. The IARC report is a consensus statement from a group of 22 scientists from 10 countries who met in France for 2 weeks in 2015. So this seems very similar to the study that I shared with you guys called Red Meat Causes Cancer, Not Backed by Good Science. What they did is they took a bunch of panelists and they reviewed all the research in that area and on that field to come up with a conclusion. So it seems very similar right now. Oh, they took a bunch of panelists from different countries in the world. But wait till you see what's going to happen here. So their goal was to examine the research on the relationship between meat intake and cancer and to produce a summary statement. Go on to the next page here. About potential risks. After considering 800 studies, they came to the conclusion that for every 100 grams of red meat eaten per day, there was a 17% increase in colon cancer. They also concluded for every 50 grams of processed red meat, there was a risk increase of 18%. They went on to classify red meat as probably carcinogenic to humans in a damning report that sent shockwaves through the media when it was released. So, after they considered 800 studies, they came to this conclusion that just 100 grams of red meat per day will increase your colon cancer risk by 17%. That seems drastic. So as Dr. Paul Saladino here says, almost call him Paladino, sounds bad, right? But what were these statements actually based on? Examination of a more detailed 2018 report on their findings reveals that only 14 of the 800 studies were considered in their final conclusions. Only 14. They looked at 100 pieces of research and they're like, oh, we're only going to use these 14 over here. So just wait. And every single study was observational epidemiology. If you guys look back at that video I made, Red Meat Causes Cancer, Not Backed by Good Science, I show you guys why observational research doesn't really prove much. It's good we're doing that kind of science, but it doesn't really justify much because there's so many other factors that can be affecting us as human beings from observational research like that. So why were the other 786 scientific studies were excluded remains a mystery, and included in this group were many interventional studies in animals which clearly did not show a relationship between red meat and cancer. So they omitted stuff because they wanted to prove a narrative. Let's keep going. Of the 14 epidemiology studies that were included in the IARC report, 8 showed no link between the consumption of meat and development of colon cancer. Yes, you read that correctly. The majority of the studies considered in this report did not show a correlation between consumption of red meat and colon cancer. Of the remaining 6 studies, only 1 showed a statistically significant correlation between meat and cancer. Of 14 studies that they actually picked out of 800, only 1. And within the epidemiology research, in addition to looking for correlation between two things, we can also look for the strength of the correlation. We've got to skip to the next page here. I'm just going to skip down a bit, but you guys can go check this out on my Instagram. So thus, in the IARC report, only 1 of the 14 studies considered showed a correlation between red meat and cancer that achieved statistical significance. Interestingly, this was a study of Seventh-day Adventists in America, a religious group that advocates for a plant-based diet. And he discusses here later on in the chapter that they're kind of like Mormons, but they go on a plant-based diet. But when you compare these Seventh-day Adventists to like Mormons who eat an animal-based diet, they had very similar results. So the whole thing is that these guys, these Seventh-day Adventists, live like Mormons. So they're not smoking. They're not dealing with pollution. They're not dealing with all these other factors that people living in big cities are doing. So of course, they're going to have different results than the average person. But when compared with people who live similar lifestyles to them, who eat an animal-based diet, there's nothing there to prove it. And the World Health Organization came out with this study that is so limited. They took 800 studies. They only picked 14, and only one of them showed a significant negative situation when eating meat. This is the organization right now that is leading governments in how to act during this pandemic. It can't be trusted. You can't it's fascinating to me because, and what I said here is that these massive organizations treat us like children, knowing they can easily manipulate and control the masses because, let's face it, most of us won't look into these studies for ourselves, and most won't read books like this that dive into debunking their weak science and weak narratives. And once they've already scared people, once they already have people frightened and feared, they know they have control over them because that's a strong polarizing emotion. Fear is a polarizing emotion. And once you can instill fear into someone, it's very hard to change their mind on that subject. And that's what they're doing right now with this whole COVID thing. They shut down the world for something that is a little stronger than the flu. Now, I'm not going to dive into COVID and all that crazy stuff that's going on right now, but this is the same organization 5 years ago that put out this very weak study. Again, if you guys are interested, go check out my Instagram. You guys can see a lot more from that. But let's pop it in the chat here, just see what's going on, everyone. 1106 Link says, thank you so much. Of course, brother. Appreciate you being in here. Taylor says, I've heard you can get calcium from using eggshell too if you grind it into a powder. Ooh, that's interesting. I haven't heard of that. No one's really referenced that so far in the research that I've seen. So I'll have to check that out. Thank you, Taylor. That's awesome. Cam RP 2.0 says, all your experiences are really interesting, and I quite enjoy your personality too. Thanks for sharing all of this. Thank you so much. Just over here being me in the world, and it's amazing that I get to connect with people around the world and get to affect people's lives. Like, it's amazing. And all I want to do is be a beacon of information here in the world, to take all the stuff that I'm analyzing. Because again, as I just showed there, not everyone's going to look into these scientific studies. Not everyone's going to read these books. So if I can hopefully turn people on to reading this stuff, or at least seeing this information, that gives me joy in the world. That makes me feel like I'm on my path and on my journey. So that's all I'm here to do in the world. So really appreciate you sharing that and, sharing those kind words here. That guy said, how's the diet going for you? How's your energy levels, mood, sleep quality? So I mentioned a bunch of this at the beginning of the live stream. It is currently day 15. I'll have videos documenting each day coming out. And right now, ever since day 12, I feel fucking amazing. Like, I feel like I'm on another level right now. Like, I feel like I'm back into high school times. Like, that's how my energy levels, my mood is. Now, it's interesting that you mentioned sleep quality, because I did mention that, a month or so before I started this, so around the beginning of April, I stopped smoking weed. And that actually gave me some crazy, intense, vivid dreams. And now, as I was leading up to the carnivore diet, I was still getting intense dreams, very vivid, but they weren't like waking me up at night. They weren't like strong and very present anymore. I was like, I think my mind and my body was getting used to like, okay, bro, you're dreaming again. But now, like the last few days, like my sleep isn't bad, but I'm definitely like, I find myself waking up more. And I feel like this is the first time I'm admitting this, but I feel like these dreams are more vivid now. I feel like the dreams are intenser. Now, I also feel more rested and rejuvenated from a normal night's sleep. Again, it's only day 15, and I feel like I'm only getting great results since like day 12 here, so the last 3 or 4 days. But I feel more rested, but I am waking up more during the night. Like, I feel like my dreams are more vivid and more intense right now. Like last night, I probably woke up like 3 times in the middle of the night because I just had the most vivid, crazy, wild dream. Like, it was nuts. Intellectual Ghetto, I love your username, bro. That's amazing. Says, and how's the constipation? So this is something that so many people are asking me is about my poop. Now I take you guys through that in the vlogs. Actually, let's add a little bit into the vlog right now for day 15. So guys, we are live right now and someone's asking me, we got Intellectual Ghetto asking about my poop. So I actually pooped this morning, but I haven't pooped since like day 12. And then since day 12, I don't think I pooped since like day 7. So I'm going like 3 to 4 days right now without pooping. But I don't feel like clogged up. I don't feel constipated. I don't feel negative or like shitty inside. Whereas when I was eating like a more balanced diet, whenever I would break my fast, within an hour of breaking my fast, it was like time to poop. Like if I was like out and about and doing stuff and someone offered me food and I knew it was like, oh shit, we're working and filming and shooting, I would sometimes not eat because I would know I would have to go to the bathroom. And if I didn't have access to a bathroom, I could like control my bowel movements by not breaking my fast. But I feel like my body is utilizing the food, utilizing this meat diet, like all the nutrients from it, because like I'm barely pooping. I'm not pooping all that much. And when I do poop, it is a little runny. It is a little like, here's a little poop update for you guys. It's it's not like diarrhea, but it's like runny. I think I'm still adapting to it, but again, I don't feel constipated. I don't feel clogged up. Like I don't feel negative inside or shitty from it. So it's fascinating that, after, again, it's day 15. I pooped this morning after doing my skips. I got halfway through my skips. I was like, oh, I need to poop. Finally, here we go. Let's see what this kind of poop is like. Because since day 15 now, I probably pooped like 4 times this in the last 2 weeks. But it's not like I'm clogged up. It's not like I'm full. Now, here's a little teaser for you that'll come out on, I think, day 6. So I went day 1, day 2, day 3, and then I didn't poop for 3 days. And day 6, it was like a long tuber. And I was like, I sat down on the toilet. I was like, oh man, it's been 3 days I haven't pooped, and that's all, because it felt like nothing came out of me. And I looked in the toilet, I was like, holy crap, that's a lot of poop. But it was all just like one long strand. So I was like, holy crap, this is crazy. So it's still very fascinating what's happening here with the bowel movements and the poop and the constipation. Because there's no constipation. Like I don't feel constipated. It's fascinating. And I've heard and seen from like reading these books and the research and hearing anecdotal experiences that, after the 2-week mark, it starts to level out. Like you start pooping more often, you start having a bowel movement about once a day. But I still feel like my microbiome inside is changing and adapting to this. It's getting used to this. It's starting to understand what's happening here. And it's still soaking up everything that I'm putting into it. James Hill says, crazy how trends catch on the internet these days. 1106 Link says maybe some eggshell shake. Don't know if milk is allowed. So dairy is allowed, but it's all depending on how your body reacts to it. And that's how you can actually get calcium as well too. So I know for myself that I cut out dairy about 7 or 8 years ago. And after that, like when I first cut it out initially, I was eating a lot of other crappy food as well too. But when I cut out dairy and cheese and all that kind of stuff, like I started seeing some fat loss almost like very like within a couple weeks. I was feeling a lot better. And whenever I add it into my diet in the form of cheat days or refeed days, I don't feel great on those days. So I'm going to give myself to about the month mark, but then I'm going to start experimenting with cheese. So today I had like a couple burgers, just the straight up lean beef burger. Just fried them up and ate the burger alone. But what I would love to do is put like a piece of cheese on top. So that's another way you can actually get calcium in your diet. Now, if you want, you can have milk. You can have other stuff like that, as long as you're not adding sugar and anything else into your diet. Now, if I were to drink milk, I'd probably go for like goat's milk, or I would go for like raw milk. See if I can actually get raw milk, not heavily pasteurized. But I just know a lot of the milk that you get from your local grocery store, it's like heavily pasteurized. Those cows are on a lot of antibiotics. Those cows are on a lot of like other shit. You know what I mean? And for myself, if you guys are watching, I'm trying to source at least 90 to 100% of my meat locally. I'm getting everything from Western Deli and Meats right now, which gets their beef and their food from YU Ranch, which is just an hour outside of London in Tillsonburg, Ontario. I actually went to visit the ranch. I shared it with you guys in one of the videos, and I feel great when I'm eating this meat. I feel really good. Now there's a couple times where I've added some stuff, like I got a bunch of pork from before from Costco, and I ate that and I actually felt tired after. So I've been holding off on it. I'm still going to eat that meat because I don't want it to go to waste, but I really question and actually let's jump into this post here right now. So I believe it is our responsibility as this generation to truly change stuff in this world. We need to change these corrupt systems. We need to change all this crap. Our political system's fucked. Our education system is fucked. Our food system's fucked. Everything that affects us as human beings is fucked. It's corrupt. It's biased. They input something, and instead of fixing that, they put in more legalization and more policies on top of it. And everything has gone so convoluted now. And this is a post that I actually reposted from Slow Down Farmstead. So as you can see here, this is some meat that's real cheap. I think up here says it's 99 cents per pound. And I said the title here, the problem is the system. It's not the meat or the animal. Similar systems are in place for mass plant cultivation. It is our generation's responsibility to challenge the current systems in place. If we want to be better, if we want to create a better world, it starts with us. It starts about what we put on our plate, the politicians that we vote for. And every day we vote with our dollars. So it's very important that if you want to have an effect in this world, the biggest thing that you can do with your time and your effort and your energy and your money is know and understand how everything in your life is affected by these systems. And the biggest thing we can do is food. So that was one thing for myself. I wanted to make sure that I knew where I was getting my meat from, because I think it's very important. If you guys just watched a recent Joe Rogan Experience podcast with Joel Salatin, I'm not sure if it's Joe or Joel, but he's a regenerative farmer. And he says on that podcast, I really suggest checking it out, that you can have, we can have cows and chickens that are free range and running around, and they take up as much space as all this crazy factory farming does, because they need places to put all the feces from the animal. They need places to grow all the crops, to feed these animals, to put them in these cages. And we could feed North America by doing it properly. And what's happening when we're doing this mass cultivation, even with plant sources, is we're destroying the ground. We're sapping the minerals from the ground. And we only have so much more that we can do with this till the soil is going to be fucked. So I believe it is our responsibility to truly change this world. I made an Instagram post, an Instagram live, where I was just talking out loud to get these ideas out, because I want to make a good video about this, about the morals of eating animals, because we need to learn to live with animals if we want to restore the land, to fight desertification. So as we see here, a few days ago, this massive hunk of pork selling for 99 cents per pound at the grocery store was an animal. That animal was fed the cheapest food possible and raised to grow as quickly as possible with antibiotics in its feed and ractopamine to finish it off. It was an intelligent animal prohibited to live as it should. Instead, it was kept in a concrete bunker, crammed in with other pigs, all of them going insane, all of them displaying traits and behaviors they never would if nourished properly and allowed to live according to their nature. These pigs contributed nothing to the environment. They ate vast quantities of monocrops, replete with GMOs and gut and soil-destroying glyphosate that required diverse ecosystems to die. Those ecosystems contained life. Those ecosystems supported the lives of every breathing thing on Earth. Those pigs were propped up and fattened up with antibiotics and other medications. Those pigs lived in houses that require fans to run to clear the ammonia from the air. Want to know what happens if those fans stop running? I know. All the pigs die in the middle of the night, and humans must drag them to massive pits to bury them. My friend could tell you exactly what it's like to remove decomposing pigs by the thousands out of a place like that. You don't hear those stories. I know of them. I know of 3 of them personally. So, what we're doing with the mass farming, whether it's plants or animals, is absolutely abhorrent. It's disgusting what we're doing. And it is our responsibility to change these systems. And we vote with our dollar every day. Everything in our lives, politics, education, the food systems, the products that we buy comes from these big systems. And if we want to truly change this world, we need to understand how we affect those systems, how we participate in them. Because every day we're participating in them, whether we know it or not. The food that's on your plate, the books that you're reading, the people that you're supporting. You have to do different. We have to be different. And it is our responsibility as this generation. That's why right now, I believe our science system is fucked as well too. So that's why I've been spending the last year of my life creating videos challenging the scientific narrative, creating a book right now that I believe is going to show why science is really weak and why we need to fix it. Because things have gotten so convoluted. Things have gotten so out of hand due to profit and greed. The previous generations, they might have not been aware of what they were doing. Or maybe they did. But they didn't set up a world for us, for the future. Now, we have the opportunity right now to do different. But another 10, 15, 20 years goes by, it's going to be too late. So it is our responsibility to do different. So I plead with you guys, be aware of what you're eating. I've had many vegans and vegetarians reaching out being like, and this is going to be in my morals and ethics of eating animals video, being like, bro, you've been doing the mushrooms for a year and a half. You learn nothing. You're going carnivore. You're learning nothing. It's like, and then they're saying, I'm so connected. I realize that I'm one with everything. And yeah, if you are one with everything, you would realize that your plant-based diet is not any more moral or ethical than mine. Because if you're getting your food sources, whether it's plant-based diet or a balanced diet or a carnivore diet from these mass systems, it's destroying the land. It's harming animals. And it is destroying our planet. We need to do different. And that's why I support Western meats. That's why I support YU Ranch. Every day I'm voting with my dollar. It's a little more money. It's a little more expensive. But I can't believe people complain about the price of food when they talk about going on vacation every year. And I've got to go sit on a beach for a week or two and spend thousands of dollars to go sit somewhere else in the world for a while. How did you even manage to save up that money? It's because the money that you saved, you're taking advantage of the world and of animals and all this kind of stuff. So we have to do different. We have to be different. I honestly feel like the more I feel this, I feel it's like my responsibility to stand up, and it's part of my journey to show others that it is our responsibility to do different. I feel right now what I need to do to help Canadians, to help people in Ontario, is understand where in their cities they can buy meat as well as plant sources that are truly sustainable. To show them, look, when you purchase from this butcher, this is getting it from this local farm. You can actually take your kids to this local farm. You can go visit that farm, hang out at that farm. I think the more I get into this, it's almost my responsibility to set this up for others, to make it easy, where you almost have like an app on your phone or something all across Canada. So I don't need to go to fucking Costco or Metro. I can go to this butcher or I can go to this place and they actually get their food from here. And I know it's going to be supporting people locally. It's not going to, all the profits is going to some big CEO. So guys, we vote with our dollars and it's very important that we do this. Thank you guys for listening to my little rant there. So 007 Glock says, dude, it blows so bad that they took all your mushroom documentation and research videos down. I pulled most of them down because I was getting strikes and I had one strike left. All the stuff is still there. And it's unfortunate. But it is what it is. I'm not like too mad at it. So it is what it is. I don't think the mushrooms was a big part of my journey. Just like I don't think intermittent fasting was a big part of my journey. The carnivore diet is just a part of my journey. There's more to it, but I have to do these things along this path to prove and justify myself. I have a whole section in my book on why science is weak, a whole chapter dedicated to psychedelics and showing how in the 60s and 70s, there was some corrupt stuff going on. They took a very weak piece of science and the mainstream media ran with it. And they changed the whole. They put in this narrative in people's minds that psychedelics were really bad, and it's still affecting us 50 years later. So again, like, I feel this is just, the mushrooms, the psychedelics, it's just a part of the journey. Just like all my experiments are just a part of something bigger that's coming. Now, I don't know what the fuck that is. I'm still just being myself, trying to find that, trying to figure it all out, and stumbling along my journey, finding my passions in life, trying to find what my life task is by putting more passions together and figuring it all out. 007 Glock says, will you be continuing? So I've taken a year off. I went straight edge for a year. No alcohol, no weed, no mushrooms, to prove and show that, like, look, I did mushrooms for a year and a half extensively. Like, I did it a lot and I'm fine. There's nothing negative happening to me. But again, if I want to say some of these things that I want to say, I think I have to prove as well too that I'm not controlled by it, that I can just stop it and it's not a problem for myself. Now, when I do, like in the next year or so, like after my birthday, I'm definitely going to experiment again. I'm going to get into this stuff again. I'm probably going to have alcohol once in a while. I'm going to get back into weed. I'm not going to do it as much as I was, because I was definitely abusing it here and there. But it's definitely stuff that I think is important for our lives as human beings. Now, I won't be doing mushrooms as extensively as I was either, but I'm going to show how we can use this tool optimally in our lives as human beings. And that's what I think is important. That's what I think my journey is for, is just to be, just to represent. But appreciate those questions, 007 Glock. It's nice to hear that people remember, because as I do new experiments, I bring new people on, and then people don't always go back to see the journey. So it's nice to get a refresh. Andre Simon says, hi from Romania. How is your mental state, and why you call the channel the Hungarian Experiment? Well, so why did I call the channel the Hungarian Experiment? I mentioned this a few times here and there, but basically, my mom came to Canada when she was pregnant with me from Hungary. I'm 100% Hungarian, but I was born here in Canada. So I'm Canadian, but I'm like Hungarian blood. Now, while growing up as a child and a teenager, my mom came from Hungary. My grandparents came straight from Hungary, my aunt and uncle. So I got to see a very traditional lifestyle. I got a lot of traditional morals and values put upon me. But around the age of 2 or 3 years old, my mom actually married my stepfather, and had my sister. And he was a 3rd or 4th generation Polak, so Polish. And I got to see what 3 to 4 generations of the North American lifestyle, the mentality that it puts in, the loss of traditional values, what people care about when they don't really follow religion much anymore, or they follow religion but not so much, and they don't have any traditional values. So growing up as a child, I had these very polarizing sides. I was like, over here, over here. I don't know how to be. I'm getting told 2 different things. And then watching all my colleagues in class, like my co-students, my friends, going to their houses and seeing their lives, I realized, like, damn, like, I'm so fascinated with all these people's lives and learning, is it nature or nurture that really affects us as human beings? What makes us who we are? And I think it's a lot of nurture. Definitely nature has an effect, like how we're born and our genetics and everything. But I think nurture affects us a lot more than nature. They both definitely have an effect, but nurture has a huge effect. And the more I would watch my friends, or what, even growing up and starting new jobs and meeting new people, I'd always be like, yo, your last name, where are you from? Oh, that's interesting. So what generation are you here from? I was always very interested in other people. And I was always heavily just experimenting and trying to learn from myself based on other people's experiences and based off information that I gained. Then around the age of 20, I started experimenting with like intermittent fasting and stuff, because I was just not happy with the results I was getting in regards to working out in the gym. And I was trying all these new diets and lifestyle choices and gym routines and workouts. And around the age of 23, 24, I was like, man, I think I want to start a YouTube channel. And for some reason, one day, the Hungarian Experiment came to my mind. And I was like, yo, that's the thing right there. So that's it. So really appreciate that comment and question, Andre from Romania. Shout out to Romania. What's going on? That's awesome. My mom, I believe, is actually like from Târgu Mureș, if I said that correctly. Intellectual Ghetto says, Yeah, I did a similar diet like 7 years ago and had very bad constipation despite a lot of physical activity. Interesting. So you did the carnivore diet or more keto? Because if you still include plant sources, I think that might be the issue as well. Cam Camo RP 2.0 says, I totally agree with your point of view. I believe change will come from people, not politicians. And it all starts with our simple things. Again, one thing I mentioned in the Instagram video I made, I've had a lot of people reaching out being like, I'm starting carnivore. I'm starting it today. And I'm like, man, I'm sharing these books. I'm telling you, like, this one guy reached out and he was like, I think I'm going to start carnivore. I was like, dude, get this book first. Read this information. Then the next day he's like, oh, I'm starting carnivore. I was like, bro, I don't think you managed to read the book in the day. Like, I feel it's very irresponsible to not inform yourself, to just hop into something and not truly understand why and how and what's going to happen and learn the most from it. There's many times when I'm experimenting with things where I try to get a little bit of information to know what kind of harm or what kind of benefits are going to happen, but I also don't want to, have like placebo effect to think, oh, I'm experiencing this because someone else said they're experiencing this, so I'm definitely experiencing this. I try not to dive too much into anecdotal experiences unless I feel something's going to harm me. So with the carnivore and vegan, I've been watching a lot, but a lot of my past experiments with intermittent fasting, I just kind of dove into it. But that's why I'm the Hungarian experiment. That's why I'm the guinea pig. But if we want to truly do better in this world, we want to leave a better world for our future, our children and their children, and affect the upcoming generations, we need, to do different and to be different. And it starts with us. It comes with us, not these politicians. We need to change the political system. We need to change our educational system. We need to change our food system. We need to change our scientific system. I want to challenge all those over the course of my life. I'm not saying I'm going to change it, but I'm going to challenge them. I'm sick of hearing people saying, here's the problem. This is the problem. Well, what's your solution? I want to hear your solution. I want to hear it eloquently. I want to see that you have it detailed, planned out. That's why I'm writing a whole fucking book challenging the scientific system right now. Because my solution to it, one possible way that I think we can fix it is with human experiments. We can take all this weak observational research, all these weak randomized trials, and combine them together while people are documenting their lives for YouTube. Get them tested weekly. Get them to participate in experiments. Then we have thousands of people participating in these experiments that are getting weekly tested. We have their lives documented on film, as well as their blood tests, brain scans, hormone checks for years. And we can see how those affect things. Because right now, we can't really conclude much in regards to nutrition. All nutrition science is very, very weak science. So Andre says, cool, Targamuresh is actually in Romania. Yeah, so like my mom and my background is Hungarian, but she lived or was born in Romania. So, like, if you know anything about the history of Hungary, the borders of Hungary have changed a lot over the last several hundred years. Things have been taken, things have been given. It's been crazy. So, from my understanding and looking back to, I believe I have records going back to the 1700s that we are of Hungarian blood and orientation, although like we've lived in different areas. Kind of like how I was born here in Canada. I'm pretty sure my mom was born in Romania, but she is still Hungarian. It's crazy. It's weird to figure out and all that. Danny says, Tata Magush. So Andre says, we are neighbors, and Romania and Hungary changed lands a few times. Oh, you just said it there. So you are direct blood with Dracula, since Targamuresh is in Transylvania, part of Romania, which was under Austro-Hungarian Empire. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a deep history there. I'd love to get into the history of Hungary and all that kind of stuff in the future. I feel I have a lot of other things to do with that, but that'll come eventually. I want to make like a huge consolidation of my whole family tree, my whole family lineage. So like when my children's children can see, they can go to the Hungarian experiment and see how he affected everything and how he was, he had the most documentation, but we can even go back like 4 or 5 generations and see where we're all from. And it's like a cool done online and all that kind of stuff. So that guy says, you speak the truth. How do you deal with negativity? Negativity comes all the time. Like, it's very hard not to deal with negativity, especially in this online social world. A lot of personal understanding, a lot of ego dissolving experiences, whether that's been with psychedelics or just pushing myself to my limits, truly understanding myself. I don't really give a fuck what people think about me. I don't give a fuck what people say about me. It's cool. It's their opinion. I got some opinions about them. Now, I try not to vocalize how I feel about others because I really don't think it's important. I really don't think it's going to change their lives in any way. So when people say that about me, I'm just like, oh, here's someone, you know what I mean? Like, they're just word vomiting out, and I don't think they're logically considering it. They're speaking from a place of negativity in themselves. They're coming from an egoic place. Whereas I want to try to provide value to as many people in this world with my time in this world as possible. So I really don't care too much about negativity. It does happen sometimes. I get a shitty comment or I get someone challenging me in some way. And I'm like, damn, like that affected me. But if it does affect me, then it's something to learn from as well too. So I try to learn from that. I try to learn how to be better from it. So it's a learning experience if it is any true negativity, I feel. But most of the time it's just unnecessary. So we got Intellectual Ghetto says, I know you're testing this diet because of experiment reasons, but one question for considering this is to be a diet to follow for the rest of one's life. Why ignore the benefits of phytochemicals? Again, read this book. I can't go through this whole book for you, bro. Read the book and you'll understand. I challenge you to do it. I challenge you to read this book because it's going to explain how all these phytochemicals, all these oxalates that you're getting from plant sources, our bodies, like oxalates, our body naturally produces oxalates, very minimal amount. And we piss that shit out. We piss it out. Now, you get oxalates from plant sources. So when you're taking in these big green smoothies, you're taking in a shitload of oxalates. And what Paul Saladino explains in this book is those oxalates build up in your body. They followed it and can see where it builds up in your body, builds up in your testicles, builds up in your kidneys, and it causes inflammation in the body, which leads to chronic illnesses. It leads to bad things down the line. Doing too much, I believe, of anything can have a negative effect. Now, I thought when I first was looking and watching other people on this carnivore diet that eating too much meat might be bad because I had a lot of propagated things taught to me over the many years. But I realized that I truly don't understand this stuff. Now, if you truly want to understand this stuff, and again, I have a video coming out tomorrow. Again, you can't see this. This is all trippy looking, but 99.99% of the pesticides that we consume when we eat plant sources is actually naturally produced from the plants. Animals, insects have all developed the ability to defend themselves, to either fight back or to run away. They got claws and horns and or they're really fast and can run away from predators. Plant sources don't have that. They don't want to be eaten either. So they've developed natural chemical ways to defend themselves. And long-term in the human body, what Paul Saladino breaks down here is that that's not good for us. I'll try to find this picture real quick here. On oxalates if I can. If not, I'll just skip it. Come on. Come on, I know I can find it here quick. So oxalates. This is what oxalates looks like at a microscopic level. They're like pins and needles. And the highest sources of high oxalate plant foods are turmeric, spinach, rhubarb, sorrel, rice bran, almond, miso soup, sesame seed, baked potato, soy flour, navy bean, beets. And over long periods of time, this stuff builds up in the body. And he believes that they actually cause cancer. Again, 99.99% of the pesticides that we consume are naturally produced by the plants. And what they've actually done and this is coming out in a video tomorrow where I break down this whole scientific study. Of the 1,000 different chemicals that they've tested to see if they cause cancer in humans, only 52 of these natural plant pesticides have been tested in high-dose animal cancer tests. And half of the 52 plant chemicals that they've tested, 27 of them are rodent carcinogens. So 27 cause cancer in rats. And they are shown to be present in many common foods. These common foods that these 27 natural pesticides are included in are apples, apricots, bananas, basil, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cantaloupe, caraway, carrot, cauliflower, celery, cherries, cinnamon, cloves, collard greens, comfrey herb tea, currants, dill, eggplant, endive, fennel. I'm only at F. It keeps going. Raspberries, peach, pear, radish, potato, parsnips, tea, tomato, turnips. All these have natural pesticides that these plants have produced to defend themselves. And when we look at what these vegetables used to look like in their natural world, which is in this video tomorrow, like a natural carrot is like this fucking big. And it's like, it's so small. But we've genetically modified it over time and with breeding to be a lot more bountiful in regards to the food source it can provide for us. Peaches are really like this big, and the nut of it is like this big. So you're getting like no nutrients from it. You have to you have to eat like 15 of those to eat what a normal peach would give you. But now peaches are like fucking this big, and the nut is like this big. Now, what is in it, the natural chemicals to defend itself, has not changed. We've just bred it to be more bountiful. Bananas, all this stuff. I'm going to share a bunch of different vegetables with you guys tomorrow in the video. So that's why, like, you have to be concerned about it. Again, many long-term vegetarians and vegans have been turning back to eating animal-based sources because in the beginning, it seems like a great diet because they're eliminating a lot of the bullshit that they're eating. But over time, many of them turn back. Intellectual Ghetto says, I would say a plant-based diet, which I'm not following, but I did for 4 years, is always more resourceful than eating animal products because the animals are eating plants. And they end up with a very bad calorie, vitamin, mineral ratio compared to just eating the plants in the first place. So we have to think like a cow has 4 different stomachs to be able to digest those plants. If we look at here in the beginning of the book, when we evolved from our ancient ancestors, our stomachs were a lot bigger. Our intestines were very different. And as we started getting bigger and taller and our brains started growing, it was from eating animal products. So again, you can believe whatever you want, but I really challenge you to read this book because I can't sit here and defend everything that this doctor has heavily dived into in regards to the science. So really appreciate your comments here, but we're going to move on from Intellectual Ghetto because it seems like he's very insistent on this diet. Andre, and I'm just here to experiment and explore, but I really challenge you to read that book. I challenge you to read it, bro. Andre Simon says, have you heard of ICMNI? Paleo Medicina Keto Carnivore Retreat from Hungary. They cure all diseases. Do a research. Lots of good data. Ooh, that's interesting. I'm actually going to write that down. ICMNI. Paleo. That's interesting. A retreat in Hungary. Ooh, that'd be fun. Do I speak Hungarian? Asks Dark Art Merch. I can speak very, very, very little. I can understand a bit when my family's talking together, but in general, it's hard to really piece a lot together. I want to learn. I love to learn, but yeah, it's just unfortunately no. Camo PR says, you know how to make people want to read books, man. I feel intrigued. I really like, if you guys read one book this year, I believe it's The Carnivore Code. Even if you plan on staying on a plant-based diet or you want to stick with your balanced diet, you don't plan on going carnivore, I really suggest that you guys do it. Toe says, I just joined the stream. Could you explain the benefits you've experienced on the carnivore diet? Unfortunately, man, there's a bunch of other people who have been in here, and I'm going to be wrapping up the stream here in a sec. I'm on day 15 now. I feel fucking amazing. Since day 12, I've been feeling really good. First week has been like waves of up and down. Some days I feel good. Some days like I'm really hungry and tired. My poop has been a little off, but over the next week or two, I'm going to be taking you guys through my full days in my videos where I document and take you guys through how I'm feeling, how much I'm eating, how I'm doing intermittent fasting with it all, if I was able to do intermittent fasting or not. So really appreciate that. But wait for the videos that are coming out. The only last thing I really want to discuss here, because we pretty much covered everything, is how crazy is it that Joe Rogan got that $100 million Spotify deal? I put out some questions on my Instagram, seeing what other people thought about it, and it's some crazy stuff. It's going to affect things a lot. I question if he's still going to have the #1 podcast in the world if he's not able to funnel a lot of people over to Spotify. I'm definitely, I put out a poll being like, are you a Spotify user? And if you're not, and then the next story was like, if you're not a Spotify user, are you going to download Spotify and get Spotify now because of Joe Rogan? So I actually downloaded Spotify a couple weeks before to listen to the Ben Greenfield podcast so I could listen to Dr. Paul Saladino on it. And it's just interesting that now Joe's going to it. So what I believe and what I've seen from watching a few other guys out here is that with Joe leaving iTunes and YouTube, we're definitely going to funnel a lot of people over to Spotify, but this is going to open up the doors for more creators here on YouTube. There's millions of views right now up for grabs, millions of listens on iTunes up for grabs, and millions of views on YouTube that are up for grabs right now because of Joe going to be leaving soon. Now, he's still going to be sharing his clips and stuff, but there's a new world coming. And I've already seen from watching some other people like Tim Pool that it seems like YouTube is already starting to fix their bullshit censorship standards, which it's like they're trying to appease all the baby people out there. Like, my videos, they already have a section saying like, is this video for kids? You select no. So why are you limiting speech? Why are you limiting and stopping people from swearing? It's getting to the point where it's ridiculous. They're very beholden to advertisers. They're very beholden to social justice, which is ridiculous in my opinion. Let people talk. Let people be free. Don't take ownership for what other people are saying just because it's your platform. And very quickly, these private companies are not becoming private companies anymore. They're public entities. When YouTube is deciding that the news is more important than the subscribers and the creators you want to watch and is pushing news at you that's coming from mainstream media, they are no longer a private company. They are a public entity. They are informing you on every video now at the bottom about COVID. Go here to get more information on COVID. All sourced from the WHO as well too, which we've discussed earlier. So it's like, these are not private companies anymore. These are public entities, and they cannot be doing this. So I think this is a big reason why Joe Rogan moved over. He doesn't want to deal with this censorship bullshit anymore. And I actually had some conversations with people on Instagram saying like, I feel like Joe's getting soft because you can tell he tries to avoid certain topics, or he only has certain people on his podcast. But I've realized now that it's not that he has certain people on or he holds back. Like, he's doing it because he realizes that like he can't do that stuff because of the situation he is on with YouTube. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the discussions he has on Spotify there by moving the Joe Rogan experience over to Spotify. So that's pretty crazy. But thank you guys so much for being here in the live stream with me. I really appreciate you guys coming here for the Hangout with the Hungarian live stream. Again, we do this every week, 6 p.m. EST, and I just love it. I think it's a blast. You get to hang out here, go back and forth, have a great chat, and it's a great time. So thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you guys being here on this journey with me. Tomorrow we have the video about toxic plants and the chemicals that are in plants. I'm trying to think of a clickbaity title to do there to hook some people in, because it is just a lot of science. Then this weekend, I have day 3 and day 4 coming out on the carnivore diet, taking you guys through the full day. And then next week, well, we'll just leave that as a little bit of a surprise. So thank you guys so much for being here with me. Again, really appreciate it. Wouldn't be able to do this with you guys. So thank you guys so much. I am the Hungarian Experiment.